problems, but they cycle out of them.
No, they cycle into them.
Hire more people. That's how it fucking works, you ignorant.
Okay, now the reason this is one of the most stupidest analogies and arguments that has ever been put forth on the face of the planet and certainly on the internet is that Amendum fails to realize that perhaps the rich person who died, fell off the cliff, was a consumer as well and spent money as well. He just...
You missed the whole point. I never said rich people weren't consumers. The point was that rich people aren't necessary to the creation of jobs, and their money, okay, if destroyed, even to the extreme of just having it destroyed, the rest of humanity benefits. All right, we don't need them is the bottom line. They don't provide any necessary, they're not a necessary, it doesn't have to, the money doesn't have to sit in their pocket. All it has to do is be in the economy.
He tends to think that the rich people are just sitting up here with tens of millions or billions of dollars, and they don't spend money either.
Well, look, they largely don't, okay? They're big, giant, look, it's this simple. The rich, the inheritance rich, are like a big 500-pound leech, okay, on a 10-pound humanity. It's that simple equation. You want to make it a 700-pound leech on a 200-pound humanity, that's probably okay too, whatever the numbers are. But the point is the leech it contains and is absorbing and is consuming more of the value than the human race that's doing the work. Okay, it's completely unnecessary. The leech doesn't need to exist. We can just extract our blood back from them and just pluck the motherfucker off and live a much better life. The average human's life will be improved without the owners.
And that is just totally false. So according to his model, what he just said was that consumers spending money produces, jobs in the economy. Well, that holds true for the people who have tens of millions of dollars, doesn't it?
Yeah, but see, they wouldn't have tens of millions of dollars if they spent it, idiot. Okay, and I've already explained that there's all kinds of different ways to spend money. There's responsible, reasonable ways to spend money, respectful of what money represents, and there's irresponsible ways to spend money. Okay, I mean, this is like the difference between, say, the government investing in agriculture and the government investing in war. Okay, I mean, there's nothing productive in war. It's good for the industrial complex, is good for the military companies, but the hardware, you can't feed human beings with it. You can't do anything with that machine. It doesn't do anything for human beings. And so there's good consumption, there's bad consumption. There's qualitative value. All consumption is not the same.
So them falling off cliffs, not spending money, would not be good according to this model. It would be detrimental. And so you can't...
Your pretend model, like I said, the argument was never that money doesn't create jobs, if you want to make that argument. The argument was that rich people don't do it, okay? The resources do it. The productive labor of human beings does it, but some guy walking around with the money in his pocket doesn't do it.
Have a model that just says, well, poor people or lower middle class people are good when they spend money because it creates jobs, but rich people, they need to fall off cliffs because when they spend money it doesn't create jobs.
No, it doesn't create useful human labor. It's pyramid work, okay? You don't want a job building the pyramids if you're in Egypt. You want a job building the canals. You want a job doing something that's going to enhance your civilization. You don't want to be doing stupid, wasteful work.
Oh, if it creates jobs, it creates jobs. If rich people spend money, rich people spend money. And guess who spends money a lot? Rich people.
Yeah, well, guess what? If the money was in a poor man's pocket, he would spend it also. So it's not about the money, asshole. It's not about the jackass controlling it, okay? That's the subject. We don't need the controller.
whether they're falling off cliffs or not. So again, the logic is, right off the bat, the logic is faulty, because this is emotionalism. This isn't...
Yeah, whatever. Birthright is insanity. It's fucktarded. It's moronic. It's anybody that stupid, well, whatever. I mean, you're less than an animal. I don't even think animals would be dumb enough to fall for inheritance.
Well thought out, just basic economic theory at all. It's stupid emotionalism. This is why the logic falls apart after 5 seconds. It contradicts itself. Plus,
la 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 la. I mean, do you want to say something relevant, please?
you ever think that the guy who fell off the cliff might have been the boss or the owner of the business? That now that there's more quote-unquote capital in the system, as you say, because the owner, the guy with tens of millions of dollars, fell off the cliff, and everyone else has more valuable money to spend to create money, to create jobs with. What if he was the owner of the business?
Yeah, I know. I guess you're just going to stop there. Well, if he's the owner of the business, well, I guess either the business has the resources to continue or it doesn't. Or if the business is dependent on the money he was going to play with, you know, and thinking about in the park, then I guess the business is fucked. But guess what? If the business is fucked, guess what? We'll open it again tomorrow, right? Because people are going to drink milk and they're going to eat bread and they're going to go to the movies and they're going to do this, they're going to do all those things, okay? So he's not a vital cog. I mean, it's quite obvious he's not.
Well, now there's no money for the business, and he's not around to hire people. And if he's not around to hire people and the business closed...
Well, I thought the business was already established, so I didn't know, like I said, if that's your condition, that he's walking around with the payroll to the business, well, I guess that's a different equation, okay? If he's walking around with somebody else's paycheck in his pocket to pay for their productive work, well, that's a different fucking scenario altogether, isn't it?
Closes. Where are people going to spend money? So your idea is so simplistic as to be laughable.
No, my idea is that if there's 1 million of these things, they're worth less than if there's 10,000 of these things. Okay, idiot? It's not that complicated. Okay, they're all related to each other. The value is based on how many of them there are floating around.
And what you're advocating is killing off rich people because they just sit there with money and don't spend it.
No, I'm advocating preventing the creation of any ultra wealthy person over $1 million, 2 million, you pick a number, something with an M after it, some million number, that is completely pointless. It serves us no social value to give people obscene wealth, okay, for doing no work. That's stupid.
And I mean, just right off the bat, that's so stupid. And perhaps, I guess, giving the money to poor or middle-class people or whoever.
No, I've said 5,000 times who I'd give it to. I would give it to the workers, the people who earned the money. So the average working person, if what I propose would take place, the average working person would have, say, at least 2 times the amount of money, maybe 3 times as much money. His house would be 3 times larger. He'd have 3 cars instead of 1. I mean, he could work 1/3 the number of hours he's working now. That's the life he could be living if there weren't parasites feeding off of the system.
You're going to give the money to because they spend it, and when they spend it, it's good and creates more jobs. It's totally... this is one of the most retarded arguments I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. If you can't understand the difference between a piece of machinery that harvests wheat and a marble bathroom in terms of its productive capabilities and its usefulness to human society, then you are so fucking stupid.
This is like debating a 3rd grade. This isn't even debate. Okay, money doesn't create jobs. Demand creates jobs. But you just said that when the guy falls off
I don't know if I ever said money doesn't create jobs. What I said is rich people don't create jobs. So I think you're messing it up a little bit. But the bottom line is demand creates jobs. We use money to express our demand.
If the demand increases because people have more money or their money is more valuable, so I can barely get to this level of stupid thinking.
Yeah, so if we burned our deficit tomorrow, just burned it, just eliminated it, we all wouldn't be richer for it? I mean, it's just so stupid, obviously. Obviously, this has value that's dependent on who possesses it for what reason. That's how it gains its value, you idiot. And we'll become more valuable to the people who possess it if it's not possessed by people who did nothing to earn it.
But if demand creates more jobs, that's great. But demand has to have a vehicle called money.
So exactly, yes, exactly. It has to have a vehicle called money. So if the rich parasite leech doesn't own all the money, then it'll be in the hands of the workers who actually earned it, who had it stolen from them, essentially, by the system. So give the money back to the people who earned it by doing productive work. They'll have 3 times as much money to spend, so they will consume more. It's really quite simple.
Be mediated through. And so do you want to just get rid of the monetary system and go, what do you want to do?
Well, I don't even know what the monetary system has to do with it. They do print money supposed to be based on growth in the economy. Obviously, they haven't done it based on real growth. They've done it based on debt growth. So obviously, that's gotten completely fucked up. But yeah, the monetary system has nothing to do with inheritance, asshole. It's all about inheritance. You can't focus on the goddamn subject. The subject is inheritance. The subject is compensation without productive labor. The subject is pointless and idiotic allowing of the system to be owned. The point is that capital is not what the system should be running on. The system should be calling it investment, and the investment should be direct. We don't need the middleman leech.
And usually the demand that motivates people is the demand for money. And in your analogy, you basically said...
No, that's where they create the productivity. They do the productivity to create their share, their piece of the money, the piece they're allowed to keep, the piece the kings and queens and nobles will give them. All right, the owners will give them. But if you take away the owners and make the productive workers the owners and make the consumers the owners, you can live quite happily and prosperously without any rich people. I mean rich, ultra rich.
The demand for money is what creates jobs, because the owner fell off the cliff and people's dollar bills were now worth more, so they could spend more, which is a whole demand issue because people demand their money. And that spending, which...
Look, supply and demand, this equation is used in a certain context. I mean, you want to butcher it to pieces and start saying that now demand is work, that you go to the store to buy a job. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So, fuck. I mean, at least stick to the metaphors. I mean, they're not that fucking complicated. So stick to the concepts. There's consumption and there's production. You can't fucking mix these words up.
Obviously, there's got to be a demand for something to spend it on, creates jobs. So again, your arguments are 100% retarded and unintelligible.
Whatever, you're 100% full of shit, full of preposterous shit. I mean, yes, we just keep throwing the crap back and forth to each other, but I think you do it to excess. I think you, obviously in this video, wasted more time with that ad hominem nonsense than I certainly did. I get it over with quick. I say the rich people suck. Fine, it's done, right? I hate rich people. There, it's over. You have to waste, sentences and sentences on this nonsense.
And you don't even know it. Is really what's scary. Is you don't even realize it. You're just spouting off.
You do realize, and that's what makes you an evil motherfucker, an evil, disgusting weasel of a human being, a disgrace to human intelligence. That's all you are, a disgrace. Because you do know better. You know you're full of shit. You know it's illegitimate to keep pointing your finger at the commies and blaming everybody on Earth for the commies. You know that's a weasel of an argument, but you just keep doing it because it's easy.
Put money in the hands of consumers, they will create jobs.
Okay, again, you're assuming that rich people aren't consumers. I don't know why.
Well, we've already explained that. The substance of their fortune is not consumed, okay? The substance of their fortune is doled out to the system at usury, okay? With the expectation that their possessed surplus will do no work. But it will accrue more value over time. And that's the expectation. And once you have that expectation, you must extract that value from a worker, from a productive worker. You must take his productivity and call it your own.
You're doing that. Rich people are perhaps the biggest consumers in the wealth because they've got a lot of money, so they spend a lot of money.
Yeah, well, like I say, they spend a fraction of their money. They do spend it, and that's fine, but it's not fine. Like I say, I've pointed out there's different kinds of consumption. If they're spending their money to gold plate, put, gold leaf on cupcakes or something, or have some extravagant bullshit party, it just burns the money essentially. I'm going to have a $2 million birthday party, and they just burn the money essentially. On nonsense, on disposable crap. Yeah, that's pretty unproductive consumption. There's productive consumption and unproductive consumption. And consumption that has no redeeming value is just useless. Consuming where you buy a house and invest in the building of houses is a benefit to all people. Okay, consuming, parties is not.
So I don't know where you got this idea that rich people aren't consumers and that the only consumers are people that aren't rich. I mean, I don't know. Where did you get that idea?
Well, like I said, it's not my idea. I never said it anywhere in the video. So again, straw man, straw man, straw man. You can keep making them and tearing them down, but it has nothing to do with my argument or my video.
What Obama said.
So let me ask you this. At what point do you consider people too rich to be consumers? And at what point would you say, oh, you're too rich to be a consumer now. You've got too much money. You can't spend it.
Well, whatever you want to say, you can't invest it, you can't own it, you can't control it. I've pointed it out. You want me to say it again? Somewhere between that 5 and that 1%. I don't, I'll take whatever number I can get. You want to make it just the top 1%? You want to make it 2%? I'm saying if you nail all the top 5%, if you go to the top 5% and extract anyone who did not earn the money, that is, anyone who did not start off with $10 million, or anyone who did the rags to riches thing, you extract them from that pool, and the rest of that you just liquidate and say, no, you can have $1 million, no more, per cheat. That's the biggest cheat we're going to give you, is $1 million fucking cheat. No more than $1 million cheat. All right? Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Because that's your argument.
Well, whatever. Okay, so sorry, really long video and a lot of waste in it, so it probably wasn't that productive. I mean, I think the previous video I did that he was responding to was quite effective in doing what it was supposed to do, so this was probably unnecessary, but it's good to point it out. It's good to just illustrate it and make it clear that this is the game we're playing. We're not fighting human beings. We're not fighting people who are rational and reasonable and want the truth to prevail. No, they're going to manipulate the argument and point the spear and put poison on the spear, and they're going to commit every cheat they possibly can to preserve a system that has no integrity. And what they're defending is birthright. They really do believe they're entitled. That's how they look at the world. And they are sympathetic, for whatever reason I don't understand, with preposterous disproportions, preposterous unfairnesses. It's like they're going to root for the green team in the fight, and they don't care that the green team guy weighs 500 pounds and is a professional fighter, and he's beating up a 5-year-old girl, okay? And they'll call that a fair fight, and they'll celebrate and wave their banners and support it, and it's just disgusting that human beings are capable of this, capable of rooting for such a preposterously stupid and unfair and unjust system. But anyway, enough preachifying. So, whatever. Like I said, way too long. I concede. Way too much video.